relatively short class today, unless you're going to complain. I'm going to try to be short. All right. Go ahead and write this down. Okay, everybody going to die or what? Are we going to die? Do y'all want to go? Y'all want to run around in circles and total confusion or what? You know, it used to have a thunderstorm and everybody just, okay. Now, oh hell, it's like, oh my God, are we going to have class? United States of Snowflakes. All right. And heaven forbid we get a tornado warning. I mean, a watch, not a warning. We get a watch. Oh, everybody goes into hysterics. You're in a freaking brick building, okay? Yeah, let's go get in our car during a tornado warning. Anyway, go ahead and write this down. We all know this is slope, basically. And it's only been forecasted for like the last week that we're going to have a 100% chance of rain today. But anyway, M is equal to delta Y over delta X, which is equal to Y sub 2 minus Y sub 1 over X sub 2 minus X sub 1. Now everybody should remember that from your Algebra 1 and Algebra 2. Now we're not going to be doing slope. Now they may ask you some slope questions in your homework, but it's not, you know, detrimental because we're going to be talking about correlation and causality. Make sure y'all go get bread and milk afterwards because it's raining. The general form of this yellow line is y is equal to mx plus b, where m is the slope. And the only other thing you need to know is the point slope equation. And all of this stuff, you should be like, oh yeah, I remember that. Y minus y sub 1 is equal to m times x minus x sub 1. And you should all remember those things. I was looking to see what the temperature is because that's going to, oh God, it's 63. Yep. We'll have a tornado watch or warning before it's over with today. So there's the three things, and it just shows you, you know, what the change in y over the change of x. Now, the slope is a calculated steepness. Slope is equal to a calculated steepness. Now, of course, if you say that, if you say steepness in some math classes, the math teacher will have a fit, but that's what it is. Okay? If you have a very high number on your slope, it's very steep. If you have a very low number, like a fourth, then it's very shallow. Now, can those numbers go to infinity? Yes. They can go to negative infinity too. Remember, positive slope is left to right what? Up. Negative slope is left to right down. So you could have a negative 500 slope. You could have a negative 5,000 slope. You could have a positive 33,000 slope. You could have a positive 1/4 slope. So the solutions to slope is infinite. Does everybody agree with that? You're not going to communicate with me, but anyway. What do you need to do the point slope equation? You need a point and a what? And if you have a point and a slope, I'm not going to do one, but given m is equal to 4 and a point of 2, comma 5, this is x sub 1, this is y sub 1. You plug and chug, solve for y, and you get what? You get the general form of a line. Now again, I'm not going to go into that. I'll be glad to do it if you send me a homework question, but I'm not going to go into it today because I don't want to insult anybody's intelligence because you've had at least Algebra 1 and Algebra 2 You should know that. Okay? Now, why am I showing you the slope if we're going into correlation and causality? Because correlation, write this down, correlation, I'll show you how it's spelled. Correlation is related to the slope. Did I say it's the same? No, it's related. I can't work anything today. I don't know what's wrong with me. Maybe it's the rain. Okay? The correlation. Oh my gosh, the trees are moving. Y'all ain't kidding you. The other day we had these winds and then the tornado watch. You would think that Iraq was bombing us. Iran, I'm sorry. You would think that it was just like, some people just love drama. I sat in the room down there. Then we had the tornado warning. And then we had to get into the hallway. I sat in the room. I'm 53 years old, and I have yet to see one come across the mountains. And every time we have one, WYFF runs around throwing trash cans in the yard saying, Anderson had a tornado. It's kind of hard to have a tornado when you're right beside the mountains. Now, when we have weather coming up from Atlanta, that's a little bit different. Atlanta, we don't have anything to protect us. So I don't know if this is coming from Atlanta or not. I have to look at the radar. Correlation. What is the big difference between correlation and slope? Correlation is limited to -1 to +1. And that's called the correlation coefficient. -1 to +1. The correlation coefficient, which is R, is always from -1 to +1. The closer you are to -1, that's the strongest negative correlation. The closest you are to +1, that is the strongest positive correlation. Okay? What is correlation? Pattern. I would put pattern. If you see any type of pattern, now that pattern is going to be an incline or it's going to be a what? Decline. That's all it is, or it's going to be 0. No correlation would be right here. Correlation coefficient would be 0 when you have a horizontal line, because slope on a horizontal line is what? 0. So if you have 0 for a slope, you're going to have 0 because you can't change 0. Now write these down and write down the wording, because these are test questions, all 6 of these. You'll see some type of graph on your test with this, stuff on it. Okay? And in a second, we're going to talk about causality, and then we're going to mix. We're going to talk about all 3 of them. These are very contextual questions. You're going to read it, and it's going to say, calculate the slope. Or it's going to say, what is the slope doing? And then it's going to say, what is the correlation? Now, I'm going to show you how to use your calculator and the Excel spreadsheet, because you do not want to calculate R by hand. Not even if you like to do stuff like that. It's a pain. Okay? So I'm not going to waste your time going through that. And that's correlation. Let you finish writing those down. No hiccuping in class. You hiccup 3 times, I'll have to ask you to leave. Now this is a real easy section, so please don't screw it up. Probably talking about 3 or 4 questions on the test. Most of your questions is going to come from the math portion, which is going to be like the binomial distribution, the polynomial distribution, and all that good stuff. We're going to get into that after 4. I think that's chapter 5 or 6. Everybody got it? You don't have to write down every single dot. Just draw the line. So I would say that first correlation is a 1. So you might want to put a 1 right there. Why? Because all the dots are tight and the line is very distinctive. I would say that second correlation is probably like a 0.7 or 0.8. Third correlation, that's a -1. Next one could be, I don't know, 0.8, -0.8. That next one would be like a 0.9 and then 0. -0.9 and 0. Now the calculator and the spreadsheet, now we couldn't use, have y'all noticed that Statcrunch is having problems?
Yes.
Yeah, I tried to use it the day before yesterday. I guess it was Monday. Today's what, Thursday? Tried to use it Tuesday, Monday or Tuesday. Might have been with y'all. And it showed an error. So the Russians have infiltrated Statcrunch. So that means they're going to affect who you vote for.
It worked
Okay.
for me late yesterday afternoon.
Say again?
It worked for me late.
They did?
Yesterday afternoon.
Well, maybe they fixed it. We'll try it and see. All right,
Did
next.
you have to use Statcrunch for the test? Yeah. Because it wasn't an option.
It wasn't? I'll be glad to try to see if I can. I don't know if I can or not, but I'll try. I think I can. Just remind me, when we go over the test, remind me to look, and I'll do that when I'm going through the settings. Hopefully I can set it for you.
Okay.
Oh, no, we're not supposed to use technology. You're supposed to, I want you to bring a whiteboard. You want them little whiteboards? And I want you to do, every time you do a calculation, I want you to do it on the whiteboard, and I want you to hand that in with your test.
And then you want us to make a poster?
The poster or a whiteboard, either one. And some of y'all, if you want extra credit, you can bring a little blackboard with chalk, okay? And I'll take that to faculty staff work day, and I can present that. I'll shut up. I'm being very sarcastic. Next, wrong way. There we go. Causality. Now, I know some of y'all, it's not a comic book character. Y'all don't watch movies, but there's a movie called The Matrix. And in The Matrix 2, they walk into this restaurant, this French restaurant. Everybody know that scene? And they, of course, they go through their philosophical bullcrap, talking to each other. And the French guy that owns the restaurant, he goes, I know why you're here. Cause and effect. I drink too much wine. I have to pee. Now, that will stick in your brain for the rest of the day, all right? Some of y'all, whatever you drink, wine, beer, water, the more you drink, the more you got to pee, okay? That is causality. Now, a lot of people say, well, what's so big about that? Well, correlation does not mean causality, but causality means correlation. And I'm going to write that on the board here in just a minute. Okay? Just because you have correlation does not mean you have what? Causality. So y'all go ahead and be writing this down, and I'm going to, in the middle, I'm going to put another right here. Correlation does not equal causality. But causality, I can't type. Causality equals correlation. And I'll explain that to y'all in just a minute. If I spelled everything right. There we go. I ain't had training yet, so y'all gotta be patient. If you want, I haven't even looked. The principle of causal relationship, that sounds bad, doesn't it? Causal relationship. The relationship between cause and effect. I drink too much wine, I have to pee. And I don't know, it don't put correlation, association, or statistically significant relationship is not what? Enough. This is where the context of the question comes into effect. Okay? Let's say that I worked at the hospital and I worked in the morgue. And while I was working, I guess they have a morgue in the hospital where all the dead people go. Okay? And let's say that I was taking a class at that time and they wanted us to relate mathematics to work. And I found that there was a correlation of Rocky Mountain spotted fever deaths and drowning deaths. Is there causality there? Yes. Think about it. When do you drown? Do you drown in January or February? You drown when? In the summer. When do you get ticks? I guarantee you somebody in here didn't know what Rocky Mountain spotted fever was. Rocky Mountain spotted fever is a tick disease. What's the other one called? Lyme disease. Okay? When do you get Rocky Mountain spotted fever and Lyme disease? When you get bitten by a tick. When you get bitten by a tick? In the summer. So there is a causality there, and there's a correlation. There's correlation and there's causality. But what do you have to think? You have to, I hate to say this, you have to think about the context of the question or the data that's being given to you. Okay? Let's say that I worked at Amstar and some movie came out with an actor that really sucked. Let's go with Nicolas Cage. Okay? Mr. Dramatic himself. Con Air. Good movie. He messed it up, but the other actors made up for it because there was a couple of good actors. The guy with the messed up teeth and the guy that always plays a villain. I'm trying to think. What's their names? Let's look it up. So somebody can raise all kind of sin about it. I can't ever remember their names. I told this to the other class the other day, and I can't remember their names. I suck. Let's see. What's their names? Con Air. Y'all will know them when you... Oh, hold on. I've done hit this 5 times this morning. I've seen this movie, and you've seen these... and they're great actors. Really? There he is. He's a great actor. John Malkovich. Y'all know who that is? And he is he always plays a villain. And he's kind of like John Travolta. He makes a great villain. And this guy, there's the guy with the messed up teeth. What's his name? Steve. How you say it? Buscemi. He's a great actor. And those two, if it wasn't for those two actors, Con Air would have sucked. Okay? And that guy, he's the guy that does the Arby's commercials. What do they say? We've got the meat? That's what he said. That's what he says. I don't know the other people. Oh, I love this guy. Danny Trejo. I love him. But the other ones suck. I don't even know who the other ones are. Oh, I like Dave Chappelle. He's a pretty good comedian. But I don't know who the others are. He's just so dramatic. He makes Days of Our Lives look normal. I mean, he's so dramatic when he plays Anyway, I'll shut up. You're not going to communicate, so no feedback, nothing. Just weaned on a pickle. Patrick on orb of confusion. I'll shut up. Thought we would get a little discussion going there, but with y'all, hell no. Y'all don't talk. That's why y'all going to end up in a closet. Yep. When y'all get in y'all's job world or your wherever your career is, they're going to put you in a closet because you don't talk to anybody. And you're probably going to end up getting fired because you don't communicate. So, I'm just kidding. It's a joke. What? Somebody's going to say something. What? All right, so let's go to a couple of questions and let's talk about causality. Oh, I was talking about Con Air, sorry. And Con Air comes out, and I'm just going to say 2019. Con Air comes out. Let me go to another whiteboard. Con Air comes out, and you notice, because you're in a statistics class, you notice that the ticket sales for Con Air is like that. Okay? But you also have a part-time job at the hospital, and you work in the morgue, because you are a very dark person. And you notice that that same week, the suicide rate in Anderson looks like that.
What's Con Air about?
So does that mean that Nicolas Cage movies cause suicide rates to go up?
Yes, it does.
Probably does. let's name some actors that can do that. Anybody got one? Y'all suck. Y'all know that. Just don't say Sandra Bullock and you'll be all right. Okay, she's an actress. All right, but anyway. Con Air, yes. I mean, Nicolas Cage, yes. You could say that Nicolas Cage causes, but what's wrong with this? They have nothing what to do with each other. And you can't, and that's, there's a lot of people that say a lot of people can be very book smart, but they have no what? This is a prime example. If you have two graphs sitting beside each other and you say, is there causality? The person with no common sense would say what? Yeah, there's causality there. No, there's not causality because the context of the question, they have nothing to do with each other. Whereas, sometimes you have to look for something, These things have nothing to do with each other, but the deaths by drowning and the deaths by tick bites do have something to do with each other. You see what I'm saying? So, that's why causality equals correlation. But correlation does not equal what? Okay? Now, I've given you about 5 questions that I could give you on the test. And you haven't done any math. So, don't miss them. If you do miss them, don't what? Don't tell anybody. Okay? Because then you'll be advertising your ignorance. All right, so let's go to the handy-dandy homework. And let's look at some of the homework questions. Because, like I say, some of the homework questions, I get so tired of doing this. Some of the homework questions are pretty simple, and some of y'all will mess that up. Y'all can't think of one single actor?
No.
Well, usually a bad movie has to do, that's why you don't see Tommy Lee Jones or Morgan Freeman or, some of these great actors, Denzel Washington, you don't just see them do stupid movies.
What about Johnny Depp?
Johnny Depp's a good actor. Now, I'd hit him upside the head politically, but he is a good actor. You know who he watched films on to do Willy Wonka? Michael Jackson. He said that in an interview. He watched films of Michael Jackson or, tapes of Michael Jackson to get that eccentric, ain't that interesting?
Wait, he's the one who did Willy Wonka?
Yeah. And Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, not Gene Wilder. That was Willy Wonka. Okay, I'm sorry. I got the names mixed up. But Johnny Depp is a very good actor. I think he's in La La Land as far as real world. He's in La La Land, but he's a good actor. La La Land is a dream world. You know, when he says stuff, some of the stuff he says is out there. He's floating. Y'all don't know what La La Land is? That's where, dang old, what's the fairy, Disney fairy? Tinkerbell. That's where she lives. La La Land. I'll shut up. Y'all have no idea what I'm talking about half the time, so. Unless it has to do with the Avengers, y'all don't know what I'm talking about. 4.1. I don't know. I'm going to pick a problem and let's see if y'all can do it. These are very simple. They're not very difficult. I'm not doing English questions. We're going to do math questions. Let's see. Where's a good one? Let's see if we got one with a table. I'm trying to find one with a table because I want to show you. Come on. There we go. All right. Click here to view the data set. All right. So write those numbers down. I'll go ahead and put it in the Excel spreadsheet to make it bigger. And you might want to write this down, the directions I'm going to give you for the Excel spreadsheet, because I doubt very seriously anybody has shown you how to do it, unless you've had a pretty good teacher with Excel. Okay, so let me make these bigger. There you go. Give you a second. I want you to plot those. Make yourself a makeshift, right beside the numbers. Just draw they're all in the first quadrant because they're all positive. So just draw a first quadrant and plot those points. And then I want you to see if you can fit a line in between those points. Don't connect them, but put a line showing the pattern. That's called the line of regression or the line of best fit. That's what the R stands for, regression coefficient. I mean, the correlation coefficient, R, is the line of regression. I tell you somebody that was a great actor, but I never laughed at him as a comedian. That's Robin Williams. He was a great actor. I don't know why he just didn't act. Good Will Hunting, that's one of his best movies. And of course, y'all have no idea what Good Will Hunting is, but
No, that was a good one.
yeah, the best part of that movie was the bar scene, the bar,
Which
the bar, where he talked down that academic god, yeah, the Michael Bolton lookalike. But that chick, I didn't like that chick in that movie. She, ugh. But yeah, I'd say Robin Williams is he's a good actor, great actor. I'm still having a conversation with myself, but that's okay. Y'all can't work. Most of y'all are female. Y'all can do two things at one time.
Not math.
Okay. Y'all have to concentrate. All right, so here we go. It shouldn't take you that long to graph 5 points. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to highlight these, and I'm going to insert, and then pick a chart plot, and there you go. So insert, pick the chart plot, and there it is. Now I'm going to right-click on one of the points, and I'm going to hit Add Trend Line. Oh, look at there. And then I'm going to go down and hit Display Equation and Display R Squared. And you feel good about yourself. Now that's how you find it. But beware, I'm going to go through it again for those that didn't write fast. I have to do this 2 or 3 times. I don't know why it won't blow it up the first time, but anyway, there you go. That's r squared. You don't want r squared. You want what? R. So somebody tell me what you do. So somebody take the square root of that and tell me what you get. R is equal to what?
How many decimals you want?
Just give me 2. Five minutes later.
0.96.
Thank you. That's what you want for the test. So make sure if you do it on the Excel spreadsheet, make sure you take the square root of r squared. Because if you don't, you're going to get it what? Incorrect. Yes, thank you.
So what do you do after you click the point?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. After you click the point, hold on a minute. Well, I done it. There we go. After you right click on it and hit add trend line. Now, also for later on, when you're in my business calculus or whatever, we're going to do logarithmic, polynomial, it'll be a curve. But now we're just doing linear. And hit down, scroll down and type display equation and display r squared. The bottom 2, display equation and display r squared, and then you will go in your calculator and take the square root of 0.9191. Now that's all I'm going to ask you to do mathematically on the test for 4.1. That and be able to find the slope and slope of a line or the equation of a line, that algebra, you know. That's the only thing I'm going to ask you. But we'll go through 4.2 and see but I think it's going to be the same thing. Yes, ma'am.
How do you find R, like, not on Excel? Or do we always...
That's when you do the Statcrunch or you do your calculator.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to show you that next. All right, so now I'm going to take and get out of Excel, and I'm going to Statcrunch, and it's still not working. So I don't know what's happening with Statcrunch. I guess I'll have to, usually I just figure people are going to call it in, but some people may not use it. So I'm going to have to email my rep and tell them, say, what's up? Has somebody emailed them about it?
I tried to call yesterday and I literally sat on hold for 20 minutes and then it automatically started working.
Yeah, I'll call my,
I put in a request though, I don't know.
I'll call and, God, I can't believe you actually did that. Wow, you're the one. Not many people do that. They just whine and complain. All right, so let's put this in a handy-dandy calculator. And you actually communicated. You tried to communicate. Wow, what about that? All right, so let's take a TI-84 and set it up archaically. And let's type in these numbers. Go to Stat. And I got to move everything over. Y'all give me time. Things I do for y'all. All right. So Stat. Edit. 2, 4, 6, 6, 7. 2, 4, 6, 6, 7. And then I'm going to go over to L2 and type in 4, 8, 12, 12, 18. 4, 8, 12, 12, 18. Okay, y'all should be able to handle that. Let's go over here and hit Stat and go to Calculate and go to Linear Regression. It will default to L1 and L2. So all you have to do is go down to what? Calculate. Oh my gosh, I don't have R. So that means you just quit and go to the next problem. No, you go to second, catalog, which is 0, and go to diagnostic on. I've showed you this before. But I have to redo this every time because these computers, we just won't talk about it. And hit diagnostic on, and hit enter again. And now go back and hit stat, calculate, linear regression, and calculate. And there is your R, 0.96. So you have 3 ways to get R: Excel, calculator, or Statcrunch whenever we figure out what's wrong with it. I do not want you to do it by hand. Now your homework is going to ask you to do it by hand. I'll just fix the I'll fix it after you turn it in. I'll give you points, okay? But I don't want you to do it by hand because that is a tedious, very tedious, and there's no use in doing it because nobody's going to ever ask you what R is anyway, unless you're in a research class, and then you'll just find it with technology. Okay? So let's do a nerd. Oh, let's graph it. How do you graph a chart plot, or how do you do data points? Well, you go to stat, second, y is equal. Click on enter on the first one or wherever you want to. Make sure you click on enter and go down, and it's already defaulted to what? The chart plot. It's already defaulted, or I can't remember what it's called, chatter plot, or not scatter plot, chart plot, whatever you want to call it. And then go to graph, because it already defaults to L1 and L2. Hit graph. It may not show up, so you hit what? Zoom, and I think it's 9 for statistic. Yep, 9. There you go. And if you want to see what points they are, just hit trace. And there's that point, there's that point, there's that point, and that point. Now, you can also go to, somebody give me that A and that B that was in the regression. Did y'all write it down? Probably not. I didn't think you did. So I'll go right here.
The A is 2.5.
Okay, 2.5x minus 1.7. Is that what y'all got? 2.5x minus 1.7. Take your handy dandy calculator. 2.5x minus 1.7. And now you can graph your regression line onto your data points. So if you get one of these on the test and they ask for the graph, there it is. So you can do it on your TI or you can do it on the Excel spreadsheet. I don't know how many of you knew how to do that, but now you do. Who's got a question? All right, let's try.
How to do it in Excel?
I'm sorry. Okay, yeah. Let me just do another problem. How about that? Let me go out of this and out of this and out of this, and let me go to. Okay, here we go. There's the data. I'm going to put it in Excel and blow it up for you. And there it is. So go ahead and write these down, because that way you'll have 2 in your notes that you can lean on. Or you can not write them down and whine about getting them wrong on the test. I'm not used to somebody asking about Excel. Wow. Kind of helps to communicate and ask questions, doesn't it? No, it's better to be in a closet.
Depends on the day.
Y'all do this in all your classes? Just vegetate? Oh, so it's just me. Is that what it is? Okay. Just give me a complex. That's all right. I'll go out and put smokestacks on my truck and it'll make me feel better about myself. That's what you're supposed to do, right? When you feel bad about yourself, you're supposed to put stuff on your vehicle to make it look stupid. You know, people go back to your childhood and they say, you know, I wish I'd done it different. Well, I don't have to, because my daddy was very anti-Hubert, make a fool out of yourself. So he would not let me do stuff like that. I hated him back then, but I'm glad I didn't make a fool out of myself.
I saw a truck. It was this huge truck. It had horns on it, an American flag, like a huge American flag flying off the back, and it was in Germany.
Wow.
So we were laughing because they were trying to find a parking spot, but parking spots are not that big in Germany.
The only thing that's big in Germany is Coke machines, beer machines. I'll never forget when we had a layover in C-130 going over to Saudi Arabia, I think, yeah, or coming back, I can't remember. And we had I hope everybody is using their phone for a calculator and not texting, okay? If you have to text, go outside, unless you have a medical condition. For the 2 or 3 people, I hope you're using your calculator. Anyway, forget it. I was going to tell you a story, but that just pissed me off, so I'm not going to tell it. Anyway, insert people with medical conditions. There it is. There's your points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Why have I got 6 points? Try that again. Let me delete this. Yeah, I do have 5 points, right? Yes. Okay, let me try it again. Insert. Okay. I don't know what it's doing. I don't know why I'm getting...
You got 5.
Oh, okay. I thought I was getting 6. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm loony. Okay. All right. Now, hit right click on one of the points and add trend line. Go down, scroll down, and hit display equation and display R squared. And there you go. Now I make it bigger. I go in there and highlight it. I have to do it 2 or 3 times for it to actually take. Okay, it took it the first time, that time. And there is your trend line. Now, somebody take the square root of 0.15 on your calculator. Negative point what? 0.39. So write that down. R is equal to negative, or 0.39, I'm sorry, not negative. Was it negative? Yes. Well, why didn't it get, oh, R squared is always positive, that's why. So negative 0.39. Now they're going to ask you to compare that to your correlation coefficient. I meant your significance level, and we'll get to that whenever y'all send in a homework question about that. I just want you to get the basics down right now. The basics are slope, know how to do slope, correlation, know what it looks like, causality, context, meaning you have to read the question, and then can you find R? And you should be able to find R now, either with your calculator or with Excel, and we will address the Statcrunch thing whenever I can get on the email and email them and say, what's up? Okay? Question, gripe, complaint. You got a question or a gripe? Yes, sir. I'm sorry, I didn't see you.
So once you already have it plotted in your graph on your calculator,
Uh-huh.
How do you get the line of regression?
Well, here's the line. Well, you can get it two ways. One, okay, let me go to the, I'll show you. First of all, you go to stat, you go to calculate, you go to linear regression. You write this information down. And there's y is equal to 2.5, that goes there, x minus 1.7. And that's your line. And then you put that in right here, y is equal, after you find those two numbers right there, and you plot your points, then you go into y is equal, and you plot that line, 2.5x minus 1.7, and hit graph. So you're going to get a different one with that second problem. So you would type in, let's do it right quick, it won't take long. So I'm going to go back into stat, edit, and I'm going to go in here, 2, 4, 6, 6, 7, that's the same, 4, 8, 12, 12, 18. It's the same. Is that the same problem? Or is this? That's, okay, that one's different. I'm sorry. Let me go over here. Let me move the calculator. Sorry. Hold on. There. All right, so I'm going to go over here. It is 76679. 7, 6, 6, 7, 9. And the next is 876, 876, 9, 5. Everybody with me? So now I go, you not?
Yes.
Okay, I thought that was a note. It's stat, calculate, linear regression, and calculate. And write that down. That's y, write this down. Y is equal to negative 0.5x plus 10.5. Write that down. Y is equal to negative 0.5x minus or plus 10.5. Everybody got that? And your R is negative 0.39. So now I'm going to plot that. So I'm going to hit second, y is equal. I'm going to turn that one on. It's already on. I'm going to hit on anyway. And there's my scatter plot and hit graph. Okay, now we've got that old one in there, okay? So now I'm going to go to y is equal, and I'm going to change it to negative 0.5 x. Is it plus 10.5? Okay, I think I heard a mumble. Yes, I think that was a mumble. And graph. There it is. Does that help? Let me ask you something. I'm just curious, because I always ask my dual enrollment students this. How much exposure have you had with the calculator and Excel spreadsheet in your high school class?
I know the calculator. I never use a spreadsheet.
Okay.
No spreadsheet.
Never
but
used
we use
spreadsheet.
calculator a lot.
A little bit of Excel. No.
And do you know what? Well, with the Chromebooks, you should be using it. I mean, honestly, if you've got Chromebooks, they should be teaching Excel from like the 6th grade. Okay? Why? Because Excel is your number one tool. That PowerPoint is your number one tools in the real world as far as organizing data, as far as making reports, along with the word processor. How many of you have heard of CPT 170? Take it. Take it. Because you're going to need Excel, PowerPoint, word processor. A lot of people say that we only use 10% of our brain. You know, you've heard that before. Well, a lot of people, normal people, only know how to use 10% of the tools on Excel, word processor, and PowerPoint. You need, going into college, you need to know all the tools. You need to know as many as you can. Take CPT 170. It's a good course, if you can. Okay? All right, that's good enough for today. I told y'all we were just going to go over. I want you to work on 4.1 and 4.2. The reason I want you to work on it is because I want you to start sending in questions, because tomorrow, which means what? Tuesday, I'll probably cover some homework problems in 4.2 because they're all related, and then we'll move on to chapter 5. Y'all have a good